John DeSando.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with our friends. Turn off our cell phones and get away. Night or day, it's John DeSando on the radio. We'll watch the credits from up high and low. Cinema classics on.
Cinema Classics is produced and hosted by John DeSando. Listen to shows Thursdays at 8:01 p.m. on WCBE 90.5 FM. And listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando,
And I'm Mary Yerina.
and this is Cinema Classics. You know, Mary, you and I have talked about my favorite thriller of all time, really of the 90s, Crime Game.
Yes.
And I think that's pretty good. I think it's a decent modern adaptation of film noir. But I'll tell you, when I see again The Third Man, everything else pales next to this. Not just as film noir, but as filmmaking. Well, you know, this may have been the first time for you, I think.
It was the first time I've
So
seen The
give
Third
me your
Man.
reaction.
Well, I have to say you picked a classic that, in rarity, generally film noir was not recognized with any type of awards, but this film actually received the Cannes Film Festival's Palme d'Or in 1949. So it is generally considered to be one of the best films of this genre and one of the best films ever made out of Britain, and I have come to realize that is so true after watching this.
And did you see anything from Hollywood? Did the Oscars give it any nod?
It did. It got 3 nominations and it won for cinematography.
Boy, oh boy.
But it did not get nominated in any of the major categories.
But certainly its music must have been nominated.
That's
Is
a
this their
good
music?
question.
I think
need
it
to
did.
look.
Yeah, I think so.
It got nominated for Best Director, Best Cinematography, Black and White, because they were distinguishing between
Yes,
color,
right.
black and white, and Best Film Editing,
But no, Beth, I don't believe that.
but not for Best Music. And it's interesting, I noted immediately, because in this era, the credits for the film generally ran at the beginning, and they
Yes,
weren't nearly as voluminous as they are now. And the zither player received one of the top credits in the film, and
Yeah.
the credits actually run over zither strings being plucked, and it's pretty amazing to think about how important the music was
Oh.
to the film, and it was by a local Viennese zither player named Anton
Yeah.
Karas.
Yes, yeah. I think it's so memorable, the music. It's so much a part of my vision of Third Man.
And
I
it
can't
definitely
separate it.
creates the mood.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it does. And you know what, one of the parts of that mood is, it's jaunty. It's almost fun, it's almost humorous.
There are parts that are very humorous. In fact, the opening dialogue is actually from the director, Carol Reed, uncredited. He's speaking as one of the racketeers who's now taken over post-World War II Vienna and is part of the black market. And you hear this almost jaunty zither music playing as he explains what life is like
Oh,
in Vienna, and even has a humorous comment about how some racketeers just can't make it, and you see this body floating in the river as he's making that comment with this jaunty music playing behind him.
oh yeah. And beside that music, you have 2 of our outstanding actors and filmmakers in Joe Cotton and Orson Welles.
Yes.
And Orson Welles, I think Sir Carol Reed admitted that Welles had a big influence on the film, and you know, because he wasn't directing or doing anything, and it took us an hour to get to Welles, and yet there are 2 unforgettable parts of this film directly related to Welles. The first one is the first time we see him. There's a shot of his face.
Yes.
From light from a window.
Light from a window.
Oh my.
Yes.
gosh, it is, with a slight grin.
Devilish grin, I would
Yes,
say.
a devilish, nice, in the street, in how wonderful these vacant Vienna streets. They could never be that vacant, but that's one of the film noir's parts of it.
Well, and a lot of the action takes place at night, where the streets have, I also noticed, these are cobbled streets. They're always shining. And
Yes,
I think they did it, one, for cinematic effect of the light picking up the imperfect surfaces of the cobbles.
yeah.
But also, it was very common, and still common today, that they actually clean their streets there at night. And so, and you actually see in one scene big hoses clearing the streets
Yes.
at night. So it was appropriate for certainly the time and the culture to have that view. And the issue of black and white is used as a cinematic and storytelling effect
Yes.
in film noir. It's one of its hallmarks.
Yes,
So it very much was appropriate that Harry Lime is revealed to us in a window light coming on. And,
yes,
casting light on his face.
yeah, and everything in that scene, the cat kind of at his
At
feet.
his feet.
Yeah.
Because he's the only man that the cat likes.
Yeah. Yeah.
According to his lover.
Yes, 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 yes. And I really like is that it's a surprise to us that Harry is alive. I mean, we're revealing, but this is such a classic.
Well, yeah.
How many years we are
I don't
away.
think we're giving away any
Right, we're giving
spoilers
away
for a
nothing.
1949 film.
Right. But if you're like me, I'm taken in by the film. I'm assuming that he's dead, all those strange circumstances for his death. But, and that wonderful scene where they see this kiosk in the middle of the street, and they go right over and open the door and it goes down into the sewers.
Yes, they
Great.
figure out how he disappeared. Well, we've delved right into so many things that
I know,
make The
yeah.
Third Man great without actually talking about the plot.
And that's what I'd like to
And
hear.
so we actually meet Holly Martins, played by Joseph Cotton, as he's coming off the train, arriving in Vienna from the United States because his best friend, Harry Lime, has offered him a job, and he's going to be staying with Harry. And as he knocks on Harry's door, the proprietor or janitor of the building,
Right,
super
yes.
of the building, in German, tells him and is able to communicate enough to him that Harry was killed and that he's missed him. Holly decides to stay on and try and figure out what happened to his friend. And in questioning different characters, it becomes obvious that something strange has happened. And the third man is the third man that allegedly helped move his body across the street after he was hit by a vehicle, a truck, something. And so Holly's trying to look for this third man as another witness, but the stories he's getting from the two other people who helped aren't consistent.
And that becomes the secondary story,
Yes,
because the real story is what Harry was up to in his life.
yes.
And it wasn't nice.
No, it was
Yeah.
not.
And very, for our audience, again, we don't care what we say.
We do care what we say.
Well, I know, well, they don't care what we reveal, because this is such a classic. But they was so interesting, you and I were talking about little kids who had meningitis, for instance, that were going to be helped by penicillin, and Harry was selling diluted penicillin. Harry, really?
Yes, that's what we find out was his black market racketeering,
gosh,
how
yeah.
he was making a living. And he had an inside helper at the hospital
Yeah.
who was diverting penicillin shipments to him, and he was diluting them and then selling them back. And we end up with children who have meningitis who are not successfully treated with pure penicillin and are permanently damaged, if not dying, as a result of this. So in terms of pure evil, Harry certainly is
And-
right up there.
And so ironic because he's such a charmer. I mean, this is the thing, one of the things I like about the film is that post-war, people are really skittish. They're very much on guard. That's why film noir does so well at that time, because there's suspicion all over the place.
Well, in almost every scene, and credit to Carol Reed and the British production company that made the film, it appears that they employed ethnically appropriate actors
Yes.
for these roles of downtrodden post-World War II Vienna, because in almost every scene, the locals are casting a watchful, suspicious eye on Holly Martins, on every conversation he's having, and you sense that he is just surrounded in this environment of distrust and suspicion.
And my second, before we end this segment, my second viewing of Orson Welles, the important one was on the Ferris wheel.
Yes.
And apparently this is still working.
That Ferris wheel?
Yes, Ferris wheel
Oh,
is
my
still
goodness.
a big attraction for Vienna,
Wow.
becoming almost like the Eiffel Tower.
Wow. I did
People
not
would
know
go,
that.
yeah, well, if I ever go, it's on my bucket list, I certainly want to go on that. I think that is one of the eeriest scenes ever. One of the most fraught with danger. These two.
Oh, when he opens the door.
Yeah.
While they're up in the air,
Yeah.
they're on this huge Ferris wheel that had the big cars that were almost the size of vans. They weren't the little two-person
You are right, yeah.
cars that we ride in today, and they're really big. And this is the penultimate confrontation of, he knows Harry's alive. He's found a way to communicate with him through his two helpers who moved his body, and they have this conversation about what Harry's doing and whether or not Holly will report him. And at one point, Harry opens up the door and is talking about the little people down below.
Oh, I know. Let's
and
go.
inviting
Oh,
Holly
Mary.
to come to the door. And Holly does come to the door,
All right.
but he grabs the stanchion of the door
Yes,
to
he
hold
does.
on
He's
to
hold
it.
on. Well, Mary, let's hold on to that thought
Oh.
because we want to direct our listeners to our podcast. In this case, it is going to be double take, and you have to go to WCBE, the podcast experience. So, Mary, what do you suggest? Now, I know you can get this variously online. You may have to have some ads in between, as you're telling me. So, what's your advice?
Oh, if you are interested in film noir, if you are interested in quality filmmaking and have not seen The Third Man, you will be richly rewarded if you seek it out. On Prime is where I watched it. It did have ads, but it is the original cut with Carol Reed's intro as well as other scenes that was not originally released in the United States. It was actually cut 11 minutes shorter. So you will actually see on Prime the original version as it was released and created by Carol Reed.
And Mary, I think you are so right. If you care about cinema in any way, from 1 to 10, even if you're a 1, I think this is one of the ones you want to see. And strangely enough, you want to see Citizen Kane as well, with the two acts.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop.